In this video, we throw Aerodrome into the model and see what we might be looking at for market cap. Now, you may be asking, why would you model an altcoin? That seems kind of silly. Well, I would ask you, would you rather make your decisions based on hopium and some marketing and a good roadmap? Or would you like to figure out if it's a viable business that might actually gain some long-term interest and investor interest, right? So if you look at the last bull cycle, for example, some of the best projects had real good business cases, and those were ones that were successful, and they had some staying power. They stuck around. So let's take a look at the model and kind of what we're looking at here with Aerodrome. Is a great one. There's lots of good financial information on them, and they're actually producing revenue. So, quick summary of the project for those who don't know, Aerodrome is a decentralized exchange, or a DEX for short, and basically what it does is it works kind of like a bank. It's like the bank of a chain. This one's based on Coinbase's layer 2 network base, and it allows you to exchange one token for another. So when it comes to looking at the bank, this one's pretty attractive for a lot of people. Also can be looked at as like a market maker, or if you're like older and you remember going to traveling internationally, exchanging one currency for another, and they take a small fee. That's basically what a DEX is. So the problem solved is it allows you to exchange one token for another, like we just mentioned. But this uses kind of community-based. This is why it's DeFi. It's community-based liquidity pools is what they're called. So if you wanted to, you can go in and provide uh, basically two different coins. So for example, this isn't how it works on this, but this DEX. But if you had Ethereum and Bitcoin, you could provide both of those at a ratio to their price, and basically you give those coins up for other people to swap between them, and then you earn a fee for locking those into the liquidity pool. Um, and that's the incentive that the platform gives for people to kind of provide their coins. So it's kind of like almost like a bond return rate, but not quite the same thing. But you do basically earn. It's kind of like earning interest on depositing your funds in a bank, in a savings account. So different risks there. So it's not the same thing, not financial advice, but that's a good way to explain it. There are two types of users: people who provide liquidity, earn fees on that. And then the other type of users is more like the consumer side, the people who exchange one token for another, and they pay a small fee each time they do that. The markets, so it's on the Coinbase's base network. I kind of explained a little bit about what that was. Their goal is to build this into a DApp platform that allows them, to onboard. They want to onboard like the next billion users, they say. So their goals are pretty high. I think if anyone has the market, I mean, they already have tons of users on their exchange. So if anyone has the ability to increase market share of crypto to regular retail folks, Coinbase is the platform that will be able to do that. I think they've got a lot of leverage too, at least. Business case is they earned 6 billion in fee, or 6 million in fees last month. Actually, if you take out the incentives, which are we'll get to, it was about 5 million in fees last week. But they're growing at like a 25% week over week rate in fees, which is some great revenue generation. You don't see that from a lot of crypto projects, and that's why we are growing so fast. That's why this project is so popular. And tokenomics. So the tokenomics are inflationary. They have some incentives going on that they're basically paying extra fees to get people to onboard and provide their tokens for the liquidity pools. And those end in about 30 weeks. Well, they don't end; they just kind of fade off in about 30 weeks, and they slow down through the next, I think, couple months. The ongoing inflation rate is set by voting holders, so they're going to be able to kind of determine what the long-term price looks like, and they're able to adjust that by like a fraction of a percent every week, basically, up or down. Revenue potential, I could see them getting up to $1 billion annualized in fees, even more than that, by the end of 2024. Now their growth rate right now is just insane, so we'll have to see kind of where it levels off. It's going to depend a lot on the base layer network growth. The team, there's not a lot of information about the team, but you got to assume they're embedded by Coinbase because Coinbase is a backer of the project, and Coinbase definitely has a vested interest in how well these guys perform. Uh, and this isn't a new DEX. The code was borrowed from Velodrome, so it's already got some production history. Uh, and the community, they're very active on Twitter. They are active on the platform, providing liquidity for the liquidity pool, and there is a governance aspect. So the community is definitely involved, and they've got a good following of actual users. So the scoring way I score this is speculative potential is the ability for this project to grow. I think growth here is going to be a little more muted because it's already so popular, and I think it's going to be you're going to be able to kind of project that out here shortly, which will definitely mute the growth. But nonetheless, I think it's got a lot of room to grow. This is kind of more like a blue chip play now. Not as much a small cap as a mid cap at this point, but could still be a good addition to your portfolio if you think it makes sense. Uh, based on this information, we'll get into more of the financial projections here too. Staying power, I think it's got great staying power. It's built on base with a bunch. Coinbase got a bunch of ammo to grow the platform. And the reputation got a little ding because I couldn't find much information about the team. But like I said, they are vetted by Coinbase, so there's a little bit of risk there. Catalyst, I think we pretty much went over most of it. It's already developed in production. You don't see a lot of that on all these projects. The and adoption's also high. Adoption is high. It's growing. Let's just say growing. I think that's better. Coinbase backed, and it's an L2. I think it's another good catalyst, which means it has lower fees and less friction. Uniswap does have a built on L2, but you got to think like the growth could bring in more small investors since fees are lower overall on the network, and that just lowers the friction, which is always good. Always brings in more people when costs are lower. So we're looking at the challenges of team clarity, obviously, is one. It's also dependent on base networks adoption rate. So if they don't grow as fast, then Aerodrome's not going to grow as fast either. There's also dilution through which creates downward price pressure, kind of over the medium to long term. What I loved about Aerodrome is we've got like data, revenue data we can actually analyze. Look at this chart over here. They publish this every week about how many fees and incentives they pay out. So what I did here is I subtracted out, roughly the incentives, since those aren't representative of kind of the fees that we'll be paying out long term. But you're still looking at like 25% week over week increase in fees, week 29, 140 the week after. And the last week we're at 25. So if you kind of project that out and say, what's that average actually? I know this isn't proper math, but it's about like 55% per week. Obviously, that's a little bit of an outlier, but we could totally see a continuation of 20% growth over the next couple of weeks. Maybe cut that down in about a month to 10%. And I guess it's like right here, it's about 1 billion in annual revenue annualized at the end of this is 3 months here to week from now to week 44. And what we can do is we can actually, since we have some really good comp in Uniswap, we can look at what Uniswap is valued at and what kind of multiplier. So Uniswap did 53 billion last month. They've got 3.3% fee on transactions, which gives them estimated revenue of 159 million, and that's annualized to about 2 billion worth of revenue. This will increase, as the bull market picks up and people are doing more transactions. We get the multiplier based by dividing annual revenue by market cap. That's how I kind of get this multiplier. And I picked the pre-SEC investigation price because they get dinged when they announced the SEC investigation. So if we use that, we get a multiplier of about 6.3 in this market. And the multipliers actually grow through the bull cycle as people get more FOMO, and there's more excitement in the altcoin market. But if we use that, we get a current valuation. This is annual revenue of Aerodrome right now, assuming they're making five million in fees last week. Multipliers of 6.3, we get a valuation of 1.6. So let's look real quick at the Aerodrome current market cap. So if you use a fully diluted, you're at about that right now, 1.9. A lot of people like using the current market cap, but there is a lot of tokens that aren't in circulating supply, which is a little bit of a concern too. I should probably add that to one of the challenges of this project. A lot of those will be paid out as fees for incentives, but I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if Coinbase held a portion of those too. And then the great thing about all this revenue feed data is we can actually look at what we might be looking at as a peak bull case for market cap. So if you analyze the fees that they'll be collecting after week 44, which is 3 months from now, just assuming this kind of growth rate, which I think is very, very reasonable for them, and an increased multiplier of 30, and that just comes from looking at last bull case or last bull cycle when multipliers tended to increase when markets get frothy. Multipliers do increase the last bull cycle. I think we're anywhere from 25 to like 300. I'd expect this cycle to be a little more muted since markets get a little less excited each cycle. So I'm being a little conservative here at 34 and 34 billion. These are numbers are in millions. So if we compare that to Uniswap as a comp, last cycle they got up to about 22 billion, and the cycle multiplier is, if we look at the cycle multiplier, so this just looks at like how much higher do we expect the total market cap of all of crypto to grow this cycle. And if you project it out, you get it right around 2. If we hit that trend this time as well, and that would say that without any sort of other dings or downward pressure from SEC investigation, we'd expect Uniswap to hit about $40 billion market cap. So I think my bottom case for that brings us to the market cap estimates. I think my bottom case is about 5 billion. That would be if the base network doesn't really continue a high rate of growth. I think this is all gonna, Aerodrome's valuation is all gonna depend on base network's growth. So that's probably the low side. High side would be, it rivals Uniswap or maybe even outgrows Uniswap a little bit. I kind of see that tough as base would have to pretty much get their adoption level up to Ethereum, which seems a little frothy for me and a little tough to justify. So if I might even say the top bull case is probably 35, just based on this projection we have there. Now, if you think that the multiplier might be higher, you could possibly justify that 45, but that's still a good 6% or 6 times return on a multiplier on a current investment at about 790 million for Aerodrome, all the way up to possibly 44. And if you think you can justify higher, if you think go higher, I mean, the multiplier would increase from there. So, hey, thanks for watching the video. And if you made it here, you definitely found some value in what we went through in this analysis. So please hit the subscribe button to get notifications when the next model comes out, and throw in the comments what you think about Aerodrome, and let me know if you've got information I missed, or you've got different opinions. We'd love to hear. Thank you.